So I'm Libby, or in the SCA, I go by Illicif, and this video is actually going to be the first in several short videos of tailoring rectangular construction to fit and feel flattering to a modern body type. I'm going to caveat that by saying I'm not a master tailor. I have only been sewing for a few years. I have just gone through a whole lot of fabric. And I've been asked several times, what's different? What can we change? And how can we make this feel better and feel good about wearing it? So we're going to start with a measurements video, and then we're going to kind of walk through in several videos the process of making these tunics and some tips and tricks along the way. There is a write-up on my blog, and there is a photo album sew along on Facebook, and I can link both of those in the comments. Feel free to use whatever tools work for you. Today we're going to do measuring. So if you are using one of mine, there's this little handy sheet that's kind of my planning sheet for making a basic tunic. This one has the double side for a more shaped outline here. And if you don't want that, you can actually just eliminate this step right here. Totally works. Same construction, user preference. You will need something to write on, whether it's handy form, notebook, whichever you like. Something to write with. Piece of tape can actually be really handy if you're doing measurements yourself, or if you just struggle with some flexibility or movement, or keeping track of where your marks are. And a tape measure, inches, centimeters, either one works. When you are taking these measurements, you want to start with something that's fairly close to your body. So, slim shirt, things like that. But undergarments matter. If you're planning on wearing the epic push-up brawl of amazingness date night, or a binder, it's going to change your measurements substantially enough that you need to wear that when you take the measurements. It also, if you wear bras, it's a very handy mark point for where your shoulder sits. So that's convenient too. So the first measurement we need is actually across the shoulder, shoulder width. So that's literally just from one shoulder strap to the other. On me, that's about 10.5 inches. You can do it across the back. If you think you're going to get substantially different measurements, it's not going to hurt. I come out about 10.5 the same way. So write that down. Now, your sleeve length has to start at the same point where your shoulder ends. So for me, again, here you can tape, you could tuck I'm actually tucking the strap under my bra strap. But you could also use a piece of tape and stick it to your shirt right here. And you want to go down, 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 down your arm. And I tend to walk the tape measure down because it tends to wiggle less that way. Down, 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 down. Kind of keeping it back along your hand until you get to about where you want it. Again, here, you're going to want to figure out how far down your wrist. Do you want to have something that comes draping over your hand? Do you like things a little higher? For me, about 25 inches puts it just past my wrist bone. Arm size. This is one of the tricky measurements. This is one that makes a huge difference in how things fit. For me, and for most feminine people or people who don't have really developed shoulders and biceps, I don't actually use a full arm size. I start a little bit in where my shirt just starts curving in, up and around the shoulder and over till it curves on the other side. You can see they're not connecting right here. I don't need that space for my body type. My husband, who has done a lot more push-ups than I've ever even contemplated doing in my life, does. And so I do actually use the full arm size. In that case, this is one of the biggest changes you can make to how things fit and fit well when you bring this up a little higher. So just a little bit of a curve. So on me, that puts that 18.5. Now, if you are doing the two-gore side panel, where you have this inside shape, you need the length from here to here. This is another thing that changes pretty dramatically. So I am a pear shape. See, my hips right here are substantially larger than my boobs. In order to get gores that flare out here, I don't actually want my waist to start right here because it's too big of a flare. So even though this is my natural waist, what I use for a garment is actually closer to here. because this lets me have a smoother slope that comes out and over those hips and a snugger fit right here, and it gives me a little bit more of a flattering shape there. So it's another one of those measurements you can play with. Where you do have to start from is the same place you stopped. Again, wearing a shirt, useful here. Edge of my shirt, down. Again, I'm going to start right about here. So on me, it's about 6 inches from here to here. If you do not have as substantial of a difference, you can go all the way down to your natural waist. If your top half is bigger than your bottom, you can go down to your natural waist. It's going to change that shape and structure a little bit there. So rewrite that one down. Wrist or fist. I have obnoxiously tiny hands, so I can make things that are about 7 inches and wiggle my hand through there. Most people, you're going to want to also measure over your full fist, or at least a comfortable flat shape so that you can, get your hand in and out of the sleeve easily. Is that? Total length. If you are dramatically different either on the front side or the back side, you're going to want to take this measurement twice. If you're kind of 50-50, you're probably good either way. You can always take it twice just to be safe. This is another one where I walk the tape measure down my body because I'm taking measurements myself. So down over the fullest part of the bust, over the hips, keeping going. I'm going to keep trying to inch back here so you guys can see. Down, 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 down. And on me, about 60 inches puts it right at the top of my foot. That is my full length dress. I don't actually make things that are ground length because I play outside usually and I'm klutzy and prone to stepping on things. All right, horizontal measurements. Again, you've got to keep track of where you use those verticals. You can use tape to mark those spots as well. Works really well. Full bust is right over, we do tape measure untwisted. It does matter. Right over the fullest part of your bust. Again, undergarments matter. You want to try to keep it pretty close to level. And there you can see, it's for me, 41. Waist, again, so my natural waist is down here, but that's not the measurement I used. What I used is actually closer to here. And that's, you want to, again, same thing, you want to make sure it's about level. I mean, that's 35. So right there. And full hip. This one is more of a just body shape watch out. This is a kind of plan your measurements. Same idea here. You want to keep it level over the fullest part of your hip or bum, depending on your body shape. That could really be in a pretty wide range of positions here. You just want to find the biggest spot. 46. Like I said, I'm a pair. That's going to give you your measurements that we're going to use to calculate out your pattern. You can take them twice. You can double check that. Like I said, you can check the front and the back. The big ones to watch out for is this arm side shape over here. How far over your arm side you go in a full circle, and this drop point from arm side to waist, and figuring out exactly where that is. If you are very full busted, you have to be a little cautious here, because if you make this waistband too much smaller than your bust, you're not going to be able to get it over your bust. We are talking about linens and wools, fabrics that aren't stretchy here. So that is something to kind of be mindful of when you're thinking about rectangular construction. There's only so far this is actually squeeze and wiggle. I, from experience, can get about a 4-inch difference with, and you can actually play and see. Like if so, we did full bust just resting on top, but if I know I really want to squish into that top, I really cannot go smaller than a 36 and still get into that dress. So something to think about. All right, I am going to stop here. It's about 10 minutes. That's enough. Y'all are tired of me. We are going to come back and do a video taking these measurements and actually turning them into the measurements for a tunic or a dress. That will be part 2. So see you soon. Bye.